Hello, how we doing today? I'm about to get ready to get up and get around, and I'm actually going to go to Ulta and do some more makeup shopping, which I don't get to do very much these days. But first, I'm going to go ahead and hop on here and get ready, and yeah, show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to use my Too Faced Sweet Peach palette today, and I'm going to be doing a look that has a little bit of light peaches, a little bit of browns. And without further ado, I will just get right into it. Isn't that pretty? Isn't that just beautiful? Like, let's just take a moment. Just take a moment. Let it all out. Okay, now I'm really going to get into it. So, I am going to start by priming my eyes. This isn't too exciting, but is very necessary. Eye primer is going to make your eyeshadow last a lot longer, and it's going to make you use a lot less product because it's going to give it something to stick to. So instead of like just absorbing into your skin and into your eyelids, it's going to have something to sit on top of, and the color is going to look that much better. And then after primer, and I just use the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer to prime my eyes. I think this works fine, especially if you have really veiny eyelids and you just want to cover those veins up so that your colors look much more even on your eyelids. This is really, really great. If you have really oily eyelids for some reason, I wouldn't use this, and I would probably set your eyelids with a more heavy-duty powder if that's your issue. But that's not mine, so I am just going to kind of go with it. And now to set my eyes, I am going to go in with this white peach color in the palette, which is really just a white eyeshadow. And that's really all I kind of want to do is just set the concealer so that my eyeshadow will go on nice and smooth and it won't like get sticky or have trouble blending. Just nice and smooth. So, next, I am going to go in with this Peaches and Cream color, which is like this very light, almost nude peach color. And it's a matte shadow, and then I'm going to go and put this kind of high up in the crease. The general rule of thumb with eyeshadows and determining placement is the lighter the shadow, the higher up in the crease it can go. Whereas when you have darker shadows, you want to tend to bring those down pretty low or just kind of keep them very low. So, there is that. And then I'm going to take this Nectar color, which is like a darker, like more like orangey peach color, where it's not quite as nude as the Peaches and Cream is. And I don't know if this is matte or if it's like I don't think it's a satin. I think, here, I'll just swatch it. Yeah, it's almost like a satin color. You can barely see that on my hand. But I have a hard time calling it an actual, like, matte shade. So I will put that all over my lid, like such. And then I'm going to grab these two colors down here. These are my favorite, like, brown shades. This is Summer Yum and Puree, and I'm going to mix these two together and come up with my outer V color. And I'm going to use my angled Unique brush, and I like that this brush is angled because it makes it very easy to get into the outer V and very easy to get like very tightly into that crease. So like I said, with the darker shades, you really don't want to bring them up very high, and this keeps it nice and easy down here. So, so I'm going to take my brush and on the other side again, just kind of and then I'm going to kind of make sure I really blend that in, because with any darker color you want to make sure it's nice and blended. Alright. there's that. And then I'm going to take one more brush, and I'm going to grab this Luscious color up here, which is like this, which is almost like this frosty brown shade. And I like it because I want to add some like frosty brown on top of the peach. Like such. And you want to use a really fluffy brush for this because you want it to be able to kind of just flick all of the color over. Don't like pack it too much in one area because I want it to be very sheer. Generally, the more fluffy your brush is, the more like sheer the application will be. Whereas the more like tightly packed that your bristles on your brush are, the more you'll be packing color onto any specific area, which if that's what you want, then those brushes can be really helpful for that. So no, my blush brush broke. And so there's my eyeshadow, and next I'm going to go in with my Kat Von D ink eyeliner. And I'm just going to shake this up. And I can't really talk while I do this, but I'm just going to kind of line my top lash line with this just to make my lashes kind of stand out from the rest of my eyelid and kind of give my lash line a little bit more definition. So I'm just going to pull my eyelid like this, and Yep, I use just a very thin line. I don't really overline. I don't really do winged liner all that much. And I love this eyeliner pen because it's so easy to use. There we go. Alright, and that is done. So, now I'm going to go in with my face primer. I am going to use the Becca Backlighting face primer, and I'm just going to do like a pump and a half of that on the back of my hand. I really like this primer because it's very radiant, and if you are looking for like life and radiance and you want a dewy finish to your skin, especially if you're dry or if you're like combination to dry in these winter months, you tend to get more dry and you want just your skin to have more life to it. I absolutely recommend this primer. It's also great to mix in with your foundation, which is kind of what I do. I take the leftover primer that's still on my hand there, and then I'm going to take my foundation. This is the Too Faced Born This Way foundation, and I'm going to take this, and I'm just going to do, again, like a pump and a half. It is obnoxious how long this foundation will last me. I've been using it almost every day. Yeah, I'd say almost every day for like the past, since 2015, and it's lasted me almost 2 years, and that's only my second bottle. It's obnoxious how long that lasts. And then I'm going to take my Morphe foundation brush and then just kind of dot all over my face. Like that. And then just kind of grab some more product on my brush and kind of take that Alright, make sure you get underneath your chin so that everything is nice and blended out and everything looks nice and even. So So there's that. I'm not actually going to go in with concealer. I stopped doing concealer maybe about a couple months ago because I found that whenever I went in with concealer, it was just unnecessary, and I use full coverage enough foundation that I actually really don't need concealer because I don't have any like huge problem areas I'm trying to cover up. So I decided to just give the concealer a rest. But if you want to go in with concealer, this would be the time to do it. Just kind of like draw it in a triangle underneath your eyes and blend it out with a beauty blender or a brush or whatever you like to use. And then set it with powder. I am going to set my face with powder though, only because I am going to go in with bronzer and blush and highlight, and I want all of those things to blend very effortlessly, and I want them to not look cakey on top of each other, so the powder's really going to help. But I tap off so much of the excess. Like, you see how much I'm tapping off. You do not need much at all. So you just kind of go over, tap, 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 like that. And I'm getting translucent powder all over my floor and all over my pants. And then I'm going to go in with bronzer. This is the Makeup Forever Pro Bronze Fusion. I don't use this bronzer very often, but when I do, I absolutely love it. I've had it for so long, and it's still going strong. It's not too dark, it's not too light, it's not too like warm, it's not too cool. It's a very like neutral, kind of almost terracotta shade, and it's like no matter how much of this I apply, it never gets cakey, which I absolutely, absolutely love. And no matter how much I apply, it never looks fake. So, and also the powder I was using is the Laura Mercier translucent powder, just to kind of set everything in place. And now I'm going to go in with my Morphe R2 bronzer brush, dip that in a couple times, and then just put that across the forehead. And see, no matter how much I use, like, you only need a little bit, but even if you did use a little bit more and you went heavy-handed with it, it still wouldn't, like, look like, pow, your face looks like a Oompa Loompa. I'm going to pick up just a little bit more. It's always good to grab a little and then get more, because we can always put more on. It's harder to take away. So I'm just going to kind of sweep this on my cheeks. I'm not really going to contour or anything like that, just because I'm not a huge fan of contouring. Also, even if you do love contouring, I wouldn't suggest this bronzer to do it with, only because, like I said, it's not quite as like cool toned or gray as you would like a contour bronzer to be, because gray is going to look like a shadow, which is what you want a contour to look like. This is going to look a lot more neutral, a lot more just like bronze, like just kind of giving life and color to the skin. The purpose of this is not to contour, just putting that out there. There's a difference between contour bronzers and just bronzing bronzers. If you're looking for a good contour, I would suggest the Smashbox Contour Kit. Also the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette. That one has some really good contour shades in it, but not this one. And then next, going for blush. What is wrong with this blush brush? It's a Morphe brush, so it really should last. This is the Morphe E4 brush, which applies blush beautifully. I just don't know why it keeps breaking. And then I'm going to pick up the Clinique Melon Pop blushers. I think these are so cute. They look like a little flower. And then just kind of add that to the apples of the cheeks. I think this color is absolutely beautiful. Peach is such a universal flattering color. This will give anyone, like, well, I don't want to say anyone, but a very wide range of skin tones. This blush is called Melon Pop, and it's going to give your cheeks just kind of like a little hint of color. It's not going to be too much, and it's really hard to go heavy-handed with this, because it does like kind of pick up on your brush very sheer, which is nice because then it goes on your cheeks very sheer, and it just kind of looks like a little hint of color and not too much, which I personally appreciate. And they do have these in several shades. This one is Melon Pop, and I always use it with my Too Faced Sweet Peach palette because I think the peaches just go very nicely together. And then for highlight, I am going to go with my the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector, and this is in the color Champagne Pop, which is Jaclyn Hill's shade that she created with Becca. And then I'm going to use, again, this fluffy brush and kind of get the rest of the eyeshadow off it. This fluffy brush to put my highlight on, and then I'm going to tap off the excess, pick up a little bit more. I might have tapped off too much. And just kind of place that right there. I'm not so much into like overly highlighted skin anymore, so I'm just kind of going very lightly, very natural. I'm into more of like an angelic, like, glow to the skin, as I think a lot of women are. Like, most everyday, average woman does not want super highlighted cheeks or anything that's like a super harsh contour, because you want something you can wear every day, and you want something that's not going to look too over the top. So there is my highlight, and next I'm going to do my brows, and then take my Younique brow palette that I have been using forever, and take this is also Younique brow brush. I use a lot of Younique brushes and Younique products, actually. I really, really do like them. And then I'm just going to kind of fill in my brows. I really need to get them waxed, like, for real, for real. I want to fill my brows in. Like that. Alright, there's that. I started filling in my brows a lot less than intensely than I normally do, just because, again, I'm looking for like a very natural look, and for a natural look, you don't really want to do anything all that intensely, because really anything that looks super harsh or super intense or super overly done is not going to look natural. And that's just, especially today, that's not the look I'm going for, because I'm just kind of going and running some errands, and I want to just kind of look alive and look fresh. But I am now going to set my face, and this is the Tarte Ready Set Radiant Skin Mist, and I'm just going to kind of go. You go in an X and then in a T, so and then that will cover your whole face evenly. And I'm going to let that dry. And then I am going to go in with the Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara. I have been warming up a lot more to this mascara. I've never really not liked it. It's just that it makes your lashes like so volumized that sometimes they can be a little bit clumpy. And I don't always like that. So I've been kind of warming up to this again. And I find that you just kind of have to work the brush through a lot to make sure you really separate your lashes out and make sure that it don't look too clumpy. Also, don't have any like excess product on the brush. So I'm going to lean over like this and then just alright. And then I am just going to kind of stamp this on my lower lash lines. Or not on my lower lashes, on my bottom lashes. and this is my finished look. So again, it just kind of looks like a little bit more brought to life, a little bit more of a natural, enhanced version of myself, just so I can look alive and look like I pulled myself together. And it is just one look that you can do with the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. So if you own this palette, if you're thinking about getting this palette, the whole point of this post and the next 2 videos is just going to be to show you looks that you can do with this palette, and so that way you can get the most value out of your money. Again, if you own this palette or are thinking of buying this palette, this is what you can do with it. So until then, I will see you in my next video, where I am actually going to be using this same palette to do a really dark wine colored look, and I'm really excited for that, and I really hope you're going to like it. So until then, I will see you later. Bye bye.